So within the last January 20th to right now, I cannot tell you how many people truly believe that VA disability payments are going to be taken away. And so what matters most is,
right,
don't take it from a guy on YouTube, right? But I'm telling you, VA disability payments are not going away. What are your thoughts on that? Is there a remedy for that? Because people are going to believe what they're going to believe, right? Sometimes you're not changing that road.
Right. That's a great question. I mean, how do you satisfy that question, right? And again, it's like, a couple yahoos on YouTube, right? I would say that really the only way to have any sort of, I guess, anything close to the answer you're looking for, good or bad, would probably be reach out to your congressional office and ask them, what's the likelihood, right? And have that staffer that deals with VA and understands VA and from a congressional perspective and all of that stuff, and from law, have them answer that. I mean, I could give you my answer. I mean, I'm never going to say 100%, leave myself a little wiggle room, right? Yeah. But I highly doubt that anything is going to happen with regard to VA compensation. I don't believe that the payments will stop. The only thing that I see, in fact, this is what I think will happen. I think that the only thing from a negative perspective that you can view as a little more negative than was already in process already before Trump came into office. So if you want to use that as kind of the line, right? So the before and after, okay? BT and AT, right? So for BT, right, we had already rating schedule changes going into effect, the elimination of tinnitus as a standalone condition, removing the diagnostic code. That is by far the most rated condition. Let's rip that away from veterans. Let's rip away the ability to hang any secondary conditions on that, because we're going to remove that, right? Now, granted, there's some ways that you could still get tinnitus, blah, blah, blah. But the idea here, right? The removal of 50% rating for sleep apnea, driving that down to a 0% if you are treatable with a CPAP, for example. These are huge changes. The GERD change, for gastroesophageal reflux disease. Sure, some people are not affected if they have esophageal stricture and they're being treated for that with regard to their GERD. But I think that for the most part, the high percentage of veterans with GERD got shafted if they did not already have that rating. So these things have already taken effect or are already in process to take effect. BT, okay, before Trump. All of this stuff is already happening. There's plenty more, but that's just some examples. What I think will happen, AT, right, after Trump got elected, is there may be some efforts to expedite the rating schedule change process. Instead of it taking 5 years or 4 years to go from proposed change to effective date,
yeah,
they're going to condense that down to like a 8-month period or whatever, right? So that would be the one negative thing, right? Which sucks for future people. That's who it sucks for. It doesn't suck for you today if you're already rated for something. It doesn't suck for you today if you're a veteran who has the condition, because you can always file a claim while that process is in place. So, but I do believe that there are going to be some efforts in expediting the rating schedule change overall process from proposal to implementation. I think that will happen. But as far as anything other than that, as far as your ratings are concerned, the one thing that I see, Clay, is, and this happens with every single presidency. It's funny to me. And it works both ways. And again, totally bipartisan here approach from us here, right? But I see comments all the time that's either maybe something goes into effect now that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's because of the prior administration kind of started that, whether they did or didn't, or vice versa. Something bad happens today, right? Let's say the rating schedule change for sleep apnea takes effect tomorrow, right? It's because of Trump, and it's like no, and it's not because of Biden really either. It's not either one of the presidents. It's the VA's process of updating their rating schedules, and that it's the medical community that's fed the VA this information, and they've now changed the rating schedule. So I think that everybody gets a little bit, I'm on this team, I'm on that team, and anything good, anything bad, this, that. And I think that we need to just take a step back and go, which we've talked about before. We have to stay bipartisan. We have to continue to, veterans are an important part of the American fabric that needs to be taken care of by our elected officials, regardless of what political flavor they are. And really, I think that sometimes we need to take a step back and go, okay, this has nothing to do with any political party. This is the medical community that's feeding this information to the VA, and they are digesting it and making updates to the rating schedule. Whether we like it or not, it is kind of what it is. And the only reason it is what it is because of the medical community's information. If it was contrary to the medical community's information, it wouldn't happen. So love to get your thoughts, Clay.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up comments and people saying this and saying that on BT or AT, which I think is hilarious, by the way. Last week, I made 2 videos. So mental health, tinnitus, and sleep apnea just got changed again from April 2025 to August of 2025. And that happened. Tinnitus and sleep apnea happened like 2 weeks ago-ish. Mental health was about a week prior, give or take. Well, since those videos came out last week, which you would think now, I mean, myself, between Jason and myself and the channel, we've covered this topic 100 times. That doesn't even include all the other creators, okay? And so you would think that veterans understand the changes or know they're happening, but they don't, in case you're wondering. And so when I made those videos, since they dropped last week for the update, the number one most common comment between those two is, I knew Trump was going to take away benefits. And it's just like, okay, like what are we saying here, right?
Right.
Are you team veteran, or are you team, I'm going to paint this other side as dark as I possibly can? And that's what we see in the media. I'm not a big fan of it personally. I mean, even the article I pulled up from military.com, if you read,
it's a big sandwich.
The paragraph I read,
the
paragraph that Jason read, I think the next one, maybe within 2 or 3, it talks about there's a rumor of VA disability payments going away. And it's like, I mean, why, from a journalist perspective, are you reporting the news of facts or reporting the news of rumors? Like, why would you put that in there?
Rumors.
Yeah, I know why they would put the rumors in there. It's because of, hey, I'm going to give you the facts first, because I want to maintain my journalistic integrity, but then I'm going to paint as dark as I possibly can. And listen, if VA disability payments go away, I promise you, Jason and myself will cover it, and the same flack we're giving to whoever else.
And we'll see you in DC.
Yeah. Hey, 4 people can stay at my house. I'll tell you that, because we got rooms, right? But I live just south of DC. But yeah, it's like, are we team veteran, or are we team paint the other side dark? And that's just